Hello and welcome to the Monster Moment. My name is Aaron Spears.
And I'm Brad Hathcock.
Hi, Brad.
Hello, Aron. It's been a while.
Apologies for that. Well, I'll take 50% of it.
And I guess I'll take the other 50%.
Yeah, you will. No, we just stuff going on. I don't know.
Got busy lives, man.
Yeah. I mean, you
Shit.
were in
When was the last podcast?
I got back from Hawaii and debriefed, and then that was it. And you've
When
been
was that?
to
That was prior to Thanksgiving, right?
November? Yeah.
So it's been
You
almost a month.
yeah, you were in Toronto,
I was in Ottawa.
Ottawa, same thing. Actually, it's a little
Communist
mean to the
Canada.
that's a little mean to the people of Ottawa. I don't want to insult them like that.
Ottawa's actually really it's really neat. It's very small. Like very small. Like I would say probably the size of like Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh isn't really all that large.
No.
Um, but they do spread it out. Like I didn't get to go to the arena, unfortunately.
Mm.
And it just the arena is I guess like 25 minutes like outside of downtown Ottawa. And so people up there complain about it all the time. Like they want the Ottawa Senators to be playing downtown, not outside of downtown. Um,
It could be a lot worse. I mean, they should be lucky they have the team at all. If I'm frank.
I guess. I mean, it's the capital of Canada, so.
I mean, I go downtown to LA to see the Kings play, and it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours to do that. Like 25
For
minutes is
you, yeah,
nothing.
for sure.
I mean, in Arizona, the Cardinals play like in Glendale, but like you have to drive to get to an Arizona Cardinals game. Like there are places where you have to drive to get to places.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even just here in Pittsburgh, like from where I live to go down and see a game, it's 45 minutes. Could be an hour if there's traffic. Um, could also be like 35 minutes. It really kind of all depends. Like, I went down yesterday and I sat in 20 minutes of dead stop traffic when there was no accidents, nothing. So the thing about Pittsburgh is like you have to go through from where I live, they're called the Squirrel Hill Tunnel. And they even have signs that say maintain your speed, but nobody does. Everybody does like 20 miles an hour through the tunnel. It's like everybody's scared of driving through the fucking tunnel. So you're on a highway where it's like 55 miles an hour and everybody slows down to like 20 to go through this fucking tunnel. Like it makes no sense. And then you have miles of backup. And there's no accidents, nothing. And it's just miles of backup because people slow down.
Yeah, that's what happens on like the 405 as well, which is for my money the worst highway in America to drive on. Like the last time I was on it, it took me 4 hours to get home. It literally doubled the journey time, so it's really bad. I wouldn't want anybody to deal with that one. But fucking enough about traffic. So what? You were at a Sharks game. Sharks were playing the Penguins. You
Yes,
were on social media somehow. Can you explain what happened
I
there?
was. So, um, I went to the Sharks game. I had family come into town. Um, I have a cousin who is seeing a Sharks player. I won't name them. But there was a reporter who does Sharks reporting, and I was wearing the jersey of the player. Now he is still kind of newish to the league, and plays up and down the lineup. Very good. He's a pretty good player. But I was wearing his jersey, and you just don't see that everywhere because he's not the guys there. You know what I mean? Like they have their top line players and like their superstar players, and he's not those guys. And so the reporter came up to me and was like, how do you know him? Because he's like, you don't see these jerseys, like the only way that is that you have some kind of connection to him. And so the reporter had taken a picture of my jersey and tweeted it out, saying like, that's some real knowledge right there, because of how good this player is, and he is very good. That he goes, that's some like real depth knowledge there, and but you don't see the jersey, like I said, unless you are connected to him. So he came up to me and was like, how do you know him? And then I had like a 10-minute, 15-minute long conversation with this guy, and his name's Shang Peng. And he came up and he started talking to us, and he goes, oh, I'm Shang Peng. He goes, I'm a reporter for the Sharks, and he does like a podcast and like all this other stuff. And my wife said, like, you should have seen your face because you were shocked, because I looked at him and I go, I know who you are. Like, I read his stuff.
Sure.
So I was like, oh, I know who you are. Like, and I think he was like taken aback that like I knew who he was and everything too. So we just had like a nice 10-15 minute long conversation about the player, and just hockey in general and stuff like that. So it was actually really cool. I've never experienced something like that. I was like literally eating dinner before going into this game, at this place called Moonlit Burgers. And he just happened to be there before the game and saw my jersey, took a picture of it, and I had this whole like interaction with him. So then it was cool. Like I got to see the game, and what a wild one. So the Sharks were down 5-1 going into like the third period, and then they came back. I think there was like 13 minutes left, and the Sharks started scoring, and they came back and forced overtime and won it in overtime. So it was really cool.
I didn't even catch that until like the next day, and I was like, holy shit, what happened to this game? I was like, yeah,
we were going to meet him after the game. Because when you have friends and family and stuff like that in town, these players get passes that they can give, so that like you can go down and they'll come out and you get to see them briefly or whatever. And after the game, they were trying to get the hell out of town because we were getting like 7 inches of snow, and they needed to. I think it was like the last game on their road trip, so they were trying to get the hell back to California. Especially with all the snow and stuff. Excuse me. And so we had to like be real quick about it, but talking to him, it was funny because my aunt was like, oh, I was talking to her between periods, and she was like, I don't know that we have to worry about overtime. And then, they come back and score and go into overtime. And I started laughing at her. I'm like, oh, so much for not having to deal with overtime.
That's so cool. By the way, the unnamed player, that jersey I love. I just think it's so cool.
The Sharks jersey?
Yeah, it's beautifully designed.
Yeah, so I had a Sharks jersey, I still do. Joe Thornton Sharks jersey, and it's an older school one. Joe Thornton's like a Hall of Fame player. Love that guy. He was like famous for saying to a reporter that like, oh, there was a player who scored like 6 goals in a game or something, and Joe Thornton was like, oh, if I scored 6 goals, I'd have my dick out. Like he said that to a reporter, and it was so funny. And I have his jersey. So I already had a Sharks jersey, but my wife gave me an early Christmas present, and got me
notable, of course, because I was like, why'd she give it to you early? And then I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Right, because we were going to the game, and the unnamed player, like I never wanted to ask him for his autograph. I've met him like 5 times. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, to be honest. And
that's cool.
Real respectful and everything. Like he actually, my grandfather passed in August, and he came to the funeral and everything, and was like real respectful to me. And he's just such a nice guy. But I never wanted to ask him for his autograph. I'm trying to treat him like a regular person, normal, and not a professional hockey player. But I told him, I said, now that my wife got me your jersey, like I have to. So he signed it on the back for me and everything. So it was really cool, man. Like he was cool about it. He just had to be quick. So he hadn't even showered after the game. He was like, came out to say hi to us. He's like, I got a shower so we can get the hell out of here.
Well, I got to assume that that's one of the first jerseys he's actually signed, so that's kind of neat. I mean, I don't
It's
know.
possible. It's definitely possible.
With his name.
Yeah, but it's funny because my wife was like, "Oh, this is probably one of like the best days of your life," and I'm like, "Yeah," I'm like, "It's up there," like because the whole thing with Shang Peng was like really cool, and getting to see the game and go through all that rigmarole was like excellent. Um, and I was like, "Oh, I have this memory, our wedding, and then this one,"
Yeah.
and Lauren, my wife, she's like, yeah, that's okay, because the memory I have that's above that is my favorite player of all time is Rod Brindamore, who's the current coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, and used to play for the Flyers. Was my favorite player on the Flyers. Went to Carolina, won a Stanley Cup there, became the coach, and I went to a Flyers game. It was me, my dad, and my wife, and I have a Carolina Hurricanes jersey on, my Rod Brindamore jersey, and we were down on like the first level, like a section or two over from where the Hurricanes were coming out to get on the ice, and the whole day was like real weird. Like we were pulling up and we were gonna pay the $40 or whatever for parking, and this person next to me in line rolls down their window and they're like, "Hey, we have like an extra VIP parking space. Like,
Ooh.
do you want this?" And I was like, "Sure." So we got to park like the best parking spot. We get in there, and I just like in between periods, like towards the end of intermission, I went over to where they were coming out, and I had my jersey in my hands, and Rod Brindamore comes out like last, and I'm like, Rod, I'm like, would you sign my jersey for me? And he didn't say a word. This is exactly Rod Brindamore how he has always been. Doesn't say a word to me. Just looks up at me, signs the jersey, and hands it back. It was fucking awesome. Like I loved it. I'm actually framing it. And all of my Rod Brindamore jerseys, I have a bunch of them. One was my dad's, that I got after he passed away. So I'm like, great. So I have a old like orange and black Rod Brindamore jersey. I have a black Rod Brindamore jersey. I have the Carolina Hurricanes Rod Brindamore jersey signed. Like I'm framing all of that shit so I can hang it up. Um, and then the Flyers were down like 3-1. And so we actually left the game early, which I know a lot of people hate on me for, but I've been to so many hockey games. Like I just leave, like I leave early and to beat traffic. And so on the way home, I'm like listening to the game, and the Flyers came back to win the game. And the game winning goal put me number one in DraftKings to win. So I won like $750. And my wife, she goes, "This is probably like the best day of your life." And I'm like, "You know what would make this better?" I said, "The fact that I just won $750 on DraftKings." And she was like, "No, you didn't." I was like, "Yeah, I did." So I pulled it up and showed her. So it was just like a monumental day. And then it actually turns out that was the last hockey game I ever got to go to with my dad before he passed. So it like makes that day that much better and like that much higher in the pantheon of like days that I've had in my life. So she's like, "Yeah, I get that with that. This is a better day than our wedding day."
That's all fucking awesome. That's so cool. I never heard that story before, so what was the jersey I got you? You like that player too, right?
Bobby Clark, yeah.
Bobby Clark.
Yep. And
Um
you sent me there's actually a picture of him signing it, so it's authentic, signed by Bobby Clark. I'm working on getting a bunch of different frames, so that when I redo my basement, I'm gonna hang them up, because I'm trying to frame all of my like important jerseys and stuff. So
I'm the guy who gets the stuff and then does the framing, but then never actually hangs anything up. So I've got
oh,
like
dude, there's like no. I'm in my basement. There's no decorations on the walls at like anywhere. So, I want to redo our basement in the next couple of years. So it's gonna look more modern down here, and I'm gonna hang up, my jerseys. Like, it just takes time because if I'm remodeling, what's the point of like hanging the shit up? Uh, but I'm definitely interested in getting those frames. So
yeah, that's all really cool. I got stuff here I got to get framed somehow. I basically from the Panthers' first Stanley Cup win, I've got a ton of stuff from that, and I just need to do something with it.
I have a Flyers jersey. Like the Flyers do something every year called the Flyers Wives Carnival. I might have renamed it by now, but you can pay and go, and like you get to meet players. Um, Now you have to like pay to get their autographs and things like that, but all of the money goes to charity. So um,
It's a
it's like
tax
you
write off.
right, you can pay to get photos with them and like other things. So I actually went the year that the Flyers went to the Stanley Cup final and lost to the Chicago Blackhawks in 2010. And so like I have, I don't know, 5 or 6 player autographs. And at the time, Peter Laviolette was the coach of the Flyers, and everybody was like in line to get Peter Laviolette's autograph. And then Craig Berube, who is the current coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, was just like standing around because they like do these. There was like a game or some shit you could play, and Craig Berube was like manning the game, and I just walked up to him and I go, "You're Craig Berube, aren't you?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Can I have your autograph?" And I was like the only one who asked him for his autograph because I know who Craig Berube is. Like he played for the Flyers a long time and everything. And um, so, but everybody was like gunning for Peter Laviolette, and I'm like, no, I want Craig Berube's autograph. And now he's a head coach in the NHL, you know. Um, but I have a jersey that's just like I don't know. I have like 5 or 6 like autographs on it and everything. Like, you know, I got to meet Chris Pronger, who is a Hall of Fame defenseman. And I have a picture next to him. He's sitting on a stool, and he's still like a foot and a half taller than me because I'm not very tall. And he's like 6'5" or some shit. So he's like sitting on a stool, and he's like a head and shoulders above me.
I'm actually looking at Peter Laviette's coaching career right now. Has he coached more teams than like any other coach? Like he's been everywhere, right?
He has, yeah. His coaching style is known for kind of like running players ragged a little bit because it's very like up tempo. So he's considered a coach that has like a short shelf life. Successful generally. I think he has one Stanley Cup. But his teams are usually pretty successful, and then
He won a
they
cup with
kind
the
of
Hurricanes.
yeah, in 2000. I think that might have been the 2006
Yeah.
Stanley Cup, which is Rod Brindamore's Stanley Cup. Um, and so he just has this like history of like running players a little bit ragged because of how up tempo and energetic his coaching style is. And so it gets short lived, but there's usually some success there. So he coached the Rangers, he coached the Flyers. Um,
He's coaching. Where's he coaching right now? Nashville? No.
I'm not sure actually. Believe it, I'm not entirely certain where he's coaching. He might be an assistant coach somewhere. But yeah, because I'm not entirely sure where he's coaching at the
Oh, he's
moment.
not coaching this year.
Mm.
He's a free agent. Eh,
He'll find another.
he
I'm
will
sure
find
he'll
another.
probably find another, even if it's like an assistant coaching job. Um, we've talked about this before. The NHL just like recycles like players and coaches
Why
constantly.
wouldn't they? Yeah.
Well, it depends. Like you have coaches like Dan Bilesma, who has technically won a Stanley Cup um, with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but he's a horrible coach. Like he went up to be the head coach of Buffalo. They sucked. He was out of there within like 2 years. Took some time off, became like an assistant coach, took the head coaching job for Seattle, lost that job real fast because they sucked. Like, you know, he's not a great coach, but because he has a Stanley Cup, he gets recycled, and people are like, "Oh, he must be a good coach," but he's not. At that time, the Penguins were just so good; they coached themselves, and like basically Sidney Crosby coached that team to a Stanley Cup, and he just happened to be along for the ride, essentially. So,
Well, if you would like to, I'm gonna go get more coffee. Would you like to pontificate on the Eastern Conference while I step away? Just get your thoughts on it. I'll come back and listen to it later, so I'm curious what you'll say.
oh, certainly.
Because it's way more interesting than the West, as
Yeah,
usual.
I would say so. The Eastern Conference is pretty intense right now because like 3 points kind of separates every team from being the bottom of the conference minus like two teams, and being in a playoff spot. And that's a very interesting place to be, because typically what happens is by American Thanksgiving, if you're not in a playoff spot, you're likely considered to not make the playoffs. Like, historically speaking, you wouldn't make the playoffs, but because the Eastern Conference is so tight, like, you can, if you have like one bad week, you can find yourself at the bottom of the conference and like bottom of the NHL essentially. But if you have a good week, you're hoping to separate yourself from everybody else. But the Eastern Conference is just really tight, and it's a very interesting thing to see. This is something the NHL has wanted for a very long time, and it's league parity, so they want teams to be on ultimately equal footing, and this is so good for them, for the NHL as a whole, because it actually places an emphasis on the games, and like they actually matter. Um, where like you can get into sports where obviously like if you're a bottom feeder team, like the games don't actually matter that you play them. But the NHL has long been pushing to be the most competitive league, and I think you're seeing that, right? Like in basketball, you have the same 6 teams that are like actual maybe contenders for NBA
OKC is
championships.
like 23-1 right now or something crazy.
Yeah. And you see shit like that, and don't get me wrong, there are teams that like the Colorado Avalanche are in a whole tier by themselves right now, where they only had, this was like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, they only had one regulation loss in the
Yeah,
out of
they
like
are
30
the favorite.
games. Yeah,
Yeah, Nate
they're
McKinnon
absolutely
is
the
like
favorite.
crazy right now.
And what's really crazy about them is their power play is one of the worst in the league. They're like 28th on the power play out of 32 teams. And that's bad. And that's really bad for other teams. Like, if they actually start to get their shit together on their power play, as good as they are, they're going to just smoke people even worse than they already are. I mean, Colorado Avalanche are definitely the team to beat. So they're in a tier like all by themselves right now. Now that's obviously Western Conference, but um, it's just amazing to see. Even the Flyers, who shouldn't be as good as they are in a playoff spot.
They're within like 3.
And they're within a couple of points of being higher up in the conference. But there's also every team below them is like within 3 points of overtaking them. So the Flyers keep racking up like shootout wins, and they just actually lost their first shootout the other day, for first shootout of the year that they lost. And they're a much better team this year than they have been in many years, for better or worse. It just, hockey's just, that's why hockey's so interesting, because it is that sport where it's even throughout most of the teams. Like football, you have your S tier like teams, and it's like, oh, the Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs, like they're always considered contenders, and then the Eagles are obviously like not playing super well right now. But you just have these
Actually,
teams that are considered top tier, where it's not like that in the NHL, where almost any team can make it.
yeah, I would say this is the first NFL season in probably a decade where it really is anyone's thing. Like the Chiefs are on the outs, and the Eagles, like you said, aren't doing so hot. But the playoffs will actually be interesting this year, because there's just a batch of teams that just aren't usually there, and they're all kind of toss ups. So it could be fun.
I think everyone's just tired of seeing Kansas City in the fucking Super Bowl. Like, let's just
Yes,
let's be done with them, and they might not even make the playoffs this year, right?
correct. Yeah, which is good. I don't. I mean, they've won their division like, I don't know, the last 8 years straight or something like that. Like it's nice to see the Broncos kind of get in there, and I mean, it would be great to see other teams. I'm
Right.
sorry for Eagles fans, but like,
Well, I mean, Kansas City 3 straight Super Bowl appearances. Like,
yeah, I
That's
mean,
unheard of. I mean, now with hockey, you were seeing back-to-back champions for, like, obviously with the Florida Panthers. Tampa did it.
Oilers always there.
Yeah, but even then, like, they're kind of struggling a little bit. Now they'll right the ship, I'm sure, but are they going to be an actual contender? We don't know.
Well, they addressed one of those problems, I guess. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's been a pretty wild. So it was actually funny because we were sitting out at a restaurant getting drinks with the player that we were there to see. He was not drinking. In case anybody finds out who it is, he was not drinking because he had a game the next day. Um, but I'm sitting there with him, and he finds out about the Quinn Hughes trade to Minnesota, and I'm just laughing because he was like on Twitter or something and saw the trade went down, and I was like, it's so funny to me that you find out about the shit the way that I find out about the
yeah.
shit, like, even though you know more people obviously in the industry and everything, it's like you're finding out about it the same way I am. Like, you know, you're just like me except way better at hockey.
Um, well, this isn't a hockey podcast, and we've been going for a little bit.
Although we wish it was.
Um, I can at least hang. That's all I care about is I can at least hang. Um, I could go in two different directions here. The first one is, did you see the P Diddy documentary produced by 50 Cent on Netflix?
I have not watched it yet. My wife is very interested in watching it.
I watched it, and I don't. You wouldn't look at me and say like that guy would be interested in that. Like it's just not something that I would like project as like an interest of mine. But um, I did watch it because I am interested. I do like 90s, hip hop wars and East Coast versus West Coast and all that. And then there's all the scandal with P Diddy outside of that. And yeah, I was like, first of all, I think 50 Cent is like really interesting, and like there's a lot of this documentary that's sort of like his fingerprints are on it.
He's
It's
also
kind of
playing Balrog in the new
he is,
Street
yes.
Fighter movie.
I yeah, we could talk about that too. And I just thought it was like there's a lot of irony in there. He's obviously like not a fan, so but yeah, it was cool to like go back and see like stories and things that I didn't even know happened. There's this incident that occurred where P Diddy organizes a charity basketball game with I forget his name, Big D, maybe. Anyway, I didn't know that this occurred, but like they held this basketball game, and then after the game, um, I guess a bunch of people were trampled to death at the doors because the egress was like the doors open the other way, and so like all these people had died at this charity event. I didn't even know that. I was like, what? So there's like shit like that in there, but really the juicy stuff is like, did he have any involvement in the killing of Big or Tupac? And I talked to
Yes,
somebody who knows a lot about this.
absolutely, he did.
The guy I talked to knows way more about it than I do, and said no and explained to me why. And I was like, he made a compelling case that he actually didn't,
Yeah, he's a
but that
liar.
it was like a lot of there's like a lot of mistakes that were made by um God, who's the guy who's in jail right now? Suge Knight
Suge Knight,
was like
yeah.
the security detail or whatever at the time, and like just made mistake. If anything, if anyone's responsible for what happened, it's probably him. Not intentionally, but I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, there's just a lot of like interesting footage in there. And also P Diddy being an insane person, he like recorded himself before the indictment came from like the FBI or whatever. And so they got that footage too, which is really interesting. He's like in the hotel room with his lawyer going like, you're not doing a good enough job or whatever. I mean, P Diddy is a lunatic. He is
Well,
like
it's
an
like these
insane
people
person.
can't help themselves. Like, they're
Yeah.
narcissists and they think that they can't be caught and can't be touched. And, you know, Diddy had his hands in so many things in like the industry and everything. So everybody thinks that like, oh, Diddy's untouchable. And now look at what happened to him. I think it's hilarious that 50 Cent like bought this footage from these guys, because clearly they wouldn't have released it otherwise,
Yeah.
like because they were being paid by Diddy. And 50 Cent was like, nah, I'll take that vitamin water money and purchase this shit. And he created this Netflix documentary, which again I am gonna watch because my wife's super interested in it. What I find interesting about it is the fucking smug look on 50 Cent's face, like about the whole thing. And apparently, I've read this, but I didn't confirm it, but I read it online that like he did an interview about this documentary with like ABC News or something like that. And he only granted ABC News an exclusive because in prison, or at least the prison that Diddy is in, it's the only news channel that they get to watch. So he like
Oh
purposely
man,
did like a news interview with them so that he has to see it in prison. Like,
that's so
I
good.
didn't realize that 50 Cent hated Diddy so much. I really didn't. Like, I don't recall ever hearing about like beef between the two. So it's just super funny and so petty. And you and I are all about pettiness. Like,
We
so,
are.
to see that and like, dude, how fucked up is that? Where you're like, no, I'm only giving one interview. It's so that Diddy can see it.
He's really super smart, like really super smart and really
Oh, for sure.
funny. And you see it in the Balrog thing too, where it's like he looks ridiculous. and but they go so hard on that character, the design at least from what I've seen, and it's like, yeah, he's game for like a lot of weird stuff that I think is cool. So yeah, I thought it was just I thought it was really great to have like that footage, to have P Diddy's riding his bike through New York streets on the roads or whatever, and it's just like it's hilarious and weird. And it's the way they open the documentary, and it's like it's really cool. And also that guy's a psychopath, so like there's all these pictures of like him with like other famous rappers, and he's kind of in the background, but he's got like horns out, man. He looks evil in like all these pictures, so like the guy was always kind of crazy. And also there was an element where I remember growing up and watching MTV and VH1, and I would see how they treated him on like the red carpet and stuff. He was like kind of royalty, and I was watching this footage going like, how irresponsible of them too, because they were like they glorified this guy. There's an interview with Rosie O'Donnell where she's like, yeah, uh you're like the role model for a young man, and I'm like, the fuck, like,
So, because dude, it was widely known that his parties were these like crazy, like sexual, like sex trafficking almost, like kind of parties, and like weird like sex shit would go down. Like, that was from the fucking 90s. Like,
yeah.
people rapped about it in songs, like, Diddy parties and everything else. Like, it's just, it was kind of widely known that he was, I guess, a degenerate, but he
Like,
had his hands in so much shit with MTV. Like, he had multiple shows where it was like, oh, I'm creating this like super rap group, and he, like went out and found all these rappers to like try to put together a rap group. He put together like Danity Kane, and they had like a show, and like, they just, he was making MTV money like hand
yeah,
over
and
fist.
I'm watching this going like they affected my view of him, because I remember seeing it, and I never knew any of that. And like I'm like, you know what, fuck them. Like, they literally made this guy seem like he was a king. I literally, on the red carpet, he was like the guy that everybody would talk to. And I was like, fuck, man, like I didn't know any of the bad shit either. And
Which is
I do
funny
now, but
because as far as like his music goes, it's not very good.
no,
But he
he's a
has an ear
terrible
for
rapper.
talent and stuff like that.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I'll give him credit for that, but like, it's not like his music was great. He had that one song, and that was after Biggie died. um,
Yeah, and I think actually there was not to derail what your thought, but like I think Tupac signed like an 8 record deal with him or some crazy shit. And like apparently Tupac did all those records in like 2 weeks. He just pumped out like 7 or 8 records. And that's why like Tupac kept having records come out posthumously. And everybody's like, oh, he's not dead. Because he just recorded all this music at one time and then just was like, okay, I'm done with you now.
Which
And
is probably
yeah,
why Diddy did have him killed.
I
He's like,
mean,
oh, oh, you want to complete your whole contract in 2 weeks? Fuck off.
watch it and we'll report back because I'm curious to see if you think that after watching it. I kind of see. I had a guy who told me his whole theory about it, and I was like, "Oh, you've convinced me otherwise." Because to me, it was like I was watching it, going like, "It seems like it was probably something that happened. P Diddy was responsible in some way."
I'm neither here nor there with that conspiracy theory, but given his track record, I would actually probably say it's more likely than not. He was the direct benefactor of Biggie dying too, so um, I mean, like Diddy didn't really take off until after that,
Correct.
and so it's like, do I think he had a hand in it? Probably, and I don't know that you can convince me otherwise. I mean, again, he's a fucking narcissist. Like, there's all that video of him beating up that chick, Cassie or whatever. And
Not
like,
the first one.
how do you think that's never gonna get out? Like, ever?
I guess. Well, in the '90s, he did get away with it because there are women who are like, "Yeah, he beat the shit out of me," and sure enough, they. I mean, there's this whole like victim thing in retrospect where they're like, "Oh, I was abused by him." And it's like, yeah, but you still hung around. Like you liked to party. Like you were
Yeah.
happy at the time. And then here it is, 30 years later and they're like, "Yeah, he beat the shit out of me." And I'm like, "Well, you kind of didn't mind at the time." So, yeah, there's a lot of that. I think somebody should do this, but for Tupac because he also has a fascinating story. Because he was also a really bad guy, and like there's a whole like story about like a gun that was like registered to him in some hotel was like the gun that killed the 5-year-old by accident or something, and he kind of got away with that, and maybe somebody took the fall for him. I don't know, but like there's stuff there that you could talk about. Because that dude went to prison for raping a woman. I'm pretty sure.
Tupac.
I think so.
No, I didn't know that.
I think that's why he was originally in jail, but like there's a lot of shady shit with him too. So somebody, a 50 Cent should like probably do one on him as well. He wasn't a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know that 50 Cent hated Tupac the way he hates Diddy. So, like, I don't know that that's coming. And he just, I don't know, there's so much more video of like Diddy and everything that makes it easier. He'd have to figure out some kind of deep dive into Tupac if that's what he wanted to do. But yeah, me and my wife are going to end up watching that, I'm sure. She like, I don't know, wants to put together a puzzle and watch the Diddy documentary. So
Hey man, I
she's all about it.
enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And yeah, it's just great to see like in the music industry you have like your I forget his name right now, Arlen Specter, or like these guys who like committed crimes. There's another Netflix series actually on one of those guys who he killed a woman probably, and then the LAPD was like I don't know, and he was trying to cover it up, and like it always kind of happened with like those guys, but like you don't really see it in the rap community, I guess, because they kind of handle business on the streets. Like they're not above it. P Diddy was above it, and so it's kind of like a guy at the top falling, whereas like a lot of rappers are like they're local, or they'll like take a guy out like in Chicago, like that rap scene, they'll just go and like take care of business, they'll kill a guy. So yeah, you just have like this unique thing in this unique sort of industry that you know it's interesting.
What is funny because I know, like, Netflix is trying to buy up
Ugh.
HBO's properties or Warner
Warner
Brothers,
Brothers, dude.
and they need it because they just have
No.
like a slew of shitty content that they purchase from like India and stuff. But they do make pretty interesting documentaries. I must say,
Yes.
Netflix does a pretty good job of making some very interesting documentaries, and they crank them out. So,
Yeah.
I mean, You can't completely hate on Netflix. Like they do actually make some good stuff, but
I
I
can.
yeah,
I think it's truly disgusting. I don't like that Paramount's like gonna like counter with a cash offer for Warner Brothers, but to put such a historical company like Warner Brothers in the hands of a tech company just seems so gross to me. And it's already hard to get content because like Disney owns everything and they don't put any of it out. They just lock it up. And so you've got like these movies and shows that just sit on a shelf and they just own them and they just you can't get it.
well,
And
that's why
I hate
Netflix
that
is
shit.
doing it. Like they're running out of content, and like I said, they constantly release these like indie, Bollywood like style movies. But it's because they can't get the property like they used to because they were the only ones who were doing streaming like of movies. So they were just buying up all kinds of libraries to stream, and now they can't do that because Paramount is keeping their own shit. Warner Brothers, HBO, like everybody, they're keeping their own shit. So Netflix is like struggling, which is why they just release constantly like Bollywood stuff, or they do make their own movies now too. Most of them aren't the best, but they are trying with their original content and everything, and they need a bigger library. So purchasing Warner Brothers would give them a huge library, and it would bring them into the superhero fold, with like some of the Batman shit and like everything else. So they're going for it, man.
I think with Netflix, this is my fear is that there's a show like House of Dragon, which I love, and I could see them going like, okay, for the next season, like we want to save money, let's start using AI to do the heavy lifting. I'm sure Netflix as a tech company has like pipelines for all this shit,
a hundred
and
percent.
because that's why their shit looks so bad. I mean, it really does. And you could totally see them going like, we're gonna cut some corners on House of Dragon now, a show that's like beautifully produced and I love.
Right.
And I'm like, that's the fear is like they're just gonna like they're gonna lean into AI in a way that maybe Warner Brothers wouldn't as it exists. And
Oh,
I
100%. But the only difference is you won't have to wait 3 to 4 years between seasons. Like
I don't care. Like
they'll crank them out, and
I don't know if they
hopefully they're
will.
good. Hopefully they're good. Um, but you just never know. I mean, they've talked about reviving shows like Hannibal that was on fucking Fox or some shit like that. That was
That was
incredibly
like a
bloody and gory and was phenomenal.
NBC, I think. It didn't
Yeah,
belong on
something like
network
that.
television, but it was like remarkable. It's like one of the best shows ever made.
Yeah, and like for what 3 seasons it was on, maybe
Yeah,
4,
3
and
seasons.
they talked about like reviving that show, which I'm all for. Like, please do that because Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal Lecter was absolutely incredible, and
Peak
that was like,
television.
oh, absolutely. And so like I'm all for that kind of stuff. But like you said, House of the Dragon, I don't know. Like, especially they're talking about now doing. They have 2 prequel series
They have
additionally
one that's
coming for
absolutely
Game of
done.
Thrones,
Yeah, one's
and
filmed.
now they're talking about doing an actual sequel to Game of Thrones, and bringing back some of the obviously some of the original cast who's still alive, and seeing where everybody is now. Like, what are we? We're like what 10 years after the finale already. Um, so they're talking about like
Yeah.
doing that and actually doing a sequel. Netflix would greenlight that in a heartbeat, and that's the only thing that you'll get good from them is they'll just start cranking the shit out, and hopefully you would hope that it's good, and if it's not, then obviously that's a problem. But they'll greenlight anything, because Game of Thrones, like I'm rewatching Game of Thrones now for the 5th or 6th time.
The
Um,
first 4 seasons are like flawless.
oh yeah, I actually like all of it up until like the last season. And even in the last season, I'm good with it up until like after episode 3, because episode 3 is where they defeat the White Walkers, and I think that episode, despite being a little too dark, in terms of like visuals, where you can't like pick things out, um, I think is phenomenal, but you shot yourself in the foot by, like, they spend 7 seasons telling you that, like, the White Walkers are the biggest threat to humanity. Then you dispatch of them by episode 3, and then you have, what, 4 episodes of, like, political bullshit and nonsense before everyone's just like, we're all gonna go our separate ways.
I would like to render an opinion that is in conflict with you. I think episode 3 or whatever it is where they fight the White Walkers is one of the worst episodes of television I've ever seen. And I think it represents perfectly that show's downfall. And I think the last 4 seasons are actually just complete dog shit. I hate them. But that's what we do here. We have opinions.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget. I don't want to forget it because while we're on the topic, now that I've done, shitting all over Netflix, I'm going to praise them for a show that I highly recommend everybody watch. It's called Death by Lightning with Michael Shannon, and it's about James Garfield's assassination and how like it's new. It's got the guy from Succession in it. He plays Charles Godot, the assassin, and that if Netflix did more of this, and that's why I'm recommending it.
Which guy from Succession?
The guy who's married to the lady. He's kind of scummy.
The British
I think he takes over the. Yeah, he takes over the company at the end. I think
the British guy. He's married to the redheaded chick.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. He was also in like Deadpool Wolverine.
Yes. That guy. And he plays Charles Godot, and by the way, I looked at the pictures online after I wanted to do like a little more research, and like they look exactly like they should. It's really cool. But it's very well produced. It's very beautiful. But also James Garfield gave this speech at the Republican National Convention, and they were going to nominate Grant, and then he gives this speech, and there's this guy from Philadelphia who's like. It's an amazing speech actually, and he's like, we should nominate James Garfield. So like he votes for James Garfield, and so they're doing the thing where they tally up votes, and so it goes on, and James Garfield was there just to support a senator. Like he wasn't there for the nomination. By the end, he's been nominated, and so he says, well, you can nominate me, but I'm not leaving my house. I'll run a front porch campaign. And so he has all these people come to see him at his house, but he doesn't campaign for the presidency. And then he would ultimately win it. And then during that time, Chester A. Arthur was like the guy who was running all the ports in New York. I think something like 33% or maybe it's higher of the GDP of the United States was coming through New York. So all these guys were like grifting and stealing, and so they say, well, you got to run Chester A. Arthur because he's going to be your vice president, and he was a very, very corrupt man and a wild alcoholic. And so he wins the presidency, and then he does all these reforms to fix like the problems with the civil service. At the time, it was like there were no rules really. And he does all these incredible things, but Charles Godot is like a lunatic who worked for the campaign, and he's crazy, and he shoots him. And then Garfield lives for I think 90 days or something like that, but he ends up dying, and it's this like forgotten part of American history, but because it's told so well, and because at the time you could just go to the White House and say like, I would like to meet so and so, like Charles Godot goes to the White House and meets with the president, and he's out of his fucking mind. And so yeah, it's an excellent show. I highly recommend it. It's only like 4 episodes. If more people watch stuff like that, Netflix might be more open to telling more stories like that. And obviously it's got an amazing cast. I'm not mentioning everybody here, but
Michael Shannon is phenomenal.
Yeah, he plays James Garfield.
He's such an underrated actor.
He's so good in this. And also there's a few other people in it that are big names. So yeah, I recommend Death by Lightning. I think it's like amazing.
But see, that's what I mean. Like Netflix does put out bangers like that. Like,
yeah.
There's no fanfare about them. Like you don't even hear about them. They just show up on Netflix, and you're like, what the fuck is that? Like it just happens to show up on like your feed in Netflix, and you're like, what is that? Like, was that?
And It's
Like, was it
amazing.
made
Like,
this year?
yeah, it was. It's like they've got like these incredible costumes, and everybody's on like fire, and they're giving these amazing speeches. And then you've got like all these, the halls and the conventions and everything. You've got the White House like fully designed, and there's just all these things in it where you're like, where's more of this? Give me more of this, please.
Yeah. And it's like, I think they throw bigger budgets at certain things, and then it's like they supplement with all that Bollywood shit, right? Um, but I do agree with you. If they would have more interesting things like that, and I mean, they've made some decent movies, like the Sydney Sweeney film, like Anyone But You or whatever, I think was Netflix. They've done, I mean, they do crank out like a good amount of work, and you just have to keep looking. Like they made that movie Hitman, I believe, with Glenn Powell. Um, and they, they're capable of it, but then they make shit like The Gray Man with like who is that? Um,
I never even heard of it.
oh, it's a shitty action movie with I guess like Ryan Gosling and like Chris
Nobody
Evans
knows.
or something. Yeah, like I don't even know. But it had big names, and you just see big names going to do these like Netflix movies. They obviously did that movie Don't Look Up or whatever, which was your there's a
Global
comet.
warming.
Yeah, like well, it was a comet coming to Earth, like that was gonna hit the planet, and they basically just made it seem like everybody's so like too stupid to even want to do anything about it or anything like that. Like it's just they have their problems, but they do make some decent stuff. I mean, they can. I probably have a bigger interest in it than you do, but I mean, I can't hate Netflix that much. I mean,
I can.
they've changed their model so much. Like, remember when they came out and it was just like get a movie for $1,
Yeah,
or
they.
like,
I mean, they killed Blockbuster, and
yep,
they offered Blockbuster like they were gonna like merge, and then they were like, nah. So like, who won that? So like,
right.
Netflix isn't a company that's like they're one of the biggest companies in the world, and they're not going anywhere. I mean,
No, not anymore. I mean, there's obviously issues because they're subscriber based, and that's where they actually do struggle because there's only so many people who like get
talk on that while I get more
subscriptions.
coffee.
Um, but the part of the problem with Netflix now is like they got rid of like the password sharing shit too, and so they're being a little bit of like assholes about passwords, and so you have to increase your subscriber base, and since they need the subscribers, they have to get you to stop sharing passwords so that they can increase the subscriber base. And it's just like it's a shitty model, like the subscription based model, that to make it so that you can't share passwords to increase your subscription base is insane. um
Yeah, and the Game Pass thing's cool, like interesting too, because like they raised their prices and pissed everybody off,
yep.
and then they allow one other person to share that account with you, and it's like everybody's doing it so different that like if I was a Luddite, I wouldn't know. Like right now, I have a friend and I want to share Apple TV with him because I want to share Pluribus, and I'm like, I don't even know how to do it on here. Like, it's tied to what? It's tied to I have to sign in with my MacBook. Like, what? Stuff like that is just like. And then there's like Netflix who's like, we won't allow that. We can't allow anybody to watch. It's like, it's all subscribers, and then
Disney's doing that too with like
you're gonna
Hulu and
burn into the
everything else.
ground.
Like you
Yeah,
can't share your subscription. Now they haven't like completely cut it off, but what happens is they're like, "Oh, do you want to change like your home account?" And then so somebody tries to like log in, and then they change your home account to like their house basically, and then when you go to log in, it's like, "Oh no, you need another subscription." Or is this the home account? And you're like, no, this is the home account. So like I'm borderline like done sharing subs with people just because like it becomes a hassle. Like if I was sharing my like HBO subscription with somebody and you can only have like so many devices attached to it, that they connect like 5 of their devices to my fucking HBO account, and then when I go to watch it, it's like, oh, there's too many devices connected, so I have to go in, kick everybody off my fucking subscription, and change the password to make sure that nobody's like doing that shit, because I'm paying for it. So when I want to watch it, fuck everybody else. Like
Yeah,
I'm
that.
watching it, so
Yeah.
fuck you.
Well, like we have a mutual friend who I we share multiple back and forth. Like I'm on his Disney, he's on my HBO, he's on my Paramount. But like we try to balance it out so that like I don't want to subscribe to this, but if you have a subscription, then I can at least go in there and like check stuff out once in a while. Um, like I might want to watch a Beatles documentary on Disney, but like I'm not going to pay Disney for it. So there's like little trade offs you can make, but like we're talking about me and him and his wife. So like we're exchanging things here and there, but like
Right.
it's kind of balanced.
I mean, I
But
pay for all the subs, dude. Like I'm subscribed to like everything. Like I have fucking AMC Plus for God knows what reason. Oh, I got AMC Plus because it came with Shudder, so I can
oh,
watch like shitty B horror movies.
sure.
But I have to pay like $9 a month to watch shitty B horror movies. I have MGM Plus.
Okay, I will get I could tell you I've gone on Amazon Prime looking for movies and it'll say like this is only available on MGM Plus. So like there's a catalog there of shit that I'm interested in. It's just not shit you're interested in.
I got MGM Plus because they have the show From on there, and I
Huh.
like that show. And so I got that, and then I'm like, oh well, I could just cancel the subscription when until the show comes back, and I don't. But I can't tell you what I watch on MGM Plus. It's just when I want to watch something, I don't want to go through the rigmarole. So I'm just like, fuck it, I'll just sub to everything and whatever.
Well, I restarted my Netflix subscription actually for Stranger Things, and I should talk about that show a little bit
It's
actually
one
because
thing I
that's
haven't watched yet. Um, it's not even that I've tried to watch it and couldn't get into it. Like, does happen with me. I just actually haven't even tried yet.
so it's funny because like I'm watching Death by Light again. I'm like, fuck, like this was worth it for this. And then I'm watching Stranger Things, where like the first season's like pretty good, and then it's kind of shitty, and then they got this fourth season, which was the last one, and it was like, oh man, they really figured this out because these episodes are like movies, and they're telling this really interesting story. And I hate half the characters on the show, but I'm like, I kind of like, I kind of like some of them. And then, yeah, I watched this fifth season. I watched 2 episodes and I'm like, I'm just gonna be done. Like it's just so bad.
I
And
think I might wait until it's over and just try to watch it. I don't know. It's a phenomenon. Like, everybody loves it, and I'm just like, I could take it or leave it, but I might try to watch it, like, if I need something to check out. It doesn't seem like it's really up my alley. Like, I know people are like, it's horror. It's not. It's like more supernatural, like fantasy shit. Um,
yeah, I suspect you'd probably hate it, but I mean, I thought you're kind of on for the ride, right? You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna watch the fifth season because they seem to have figured it out, and then it's just like goes right off a cliff, and
really?
it's some of the poorest acting I've seen. Where like Millie Bobby Brown is a terrible actress, and on this show, she's terrible. And the choices they make with her, like she cannot carry a show, and yet she's sort of like the central focal point. And then I read this thing about like David Harbour was like made her upset on set or whatever,
It's like
and I'm like,
bullying her, abusing her, or something.
well, like I'm watching the show and they're together, so like this is what they're referring to because they're acting together, and like he's just like acting around her, and she's just like this obstacle for him, and he's like, if I was him, I would have been like, dude, could you sell it a little better? Like you're absolutely atrocious, and he's like a legitimate actor, so it's like,
Oh,
ugh.
he's a good actor, but he's also a Hollywood shill. Like,
Oh,
fucking
he's the worst.
yeah.
He's probably one of my like I would say like top 3 like worst people in Hollywood.
Which is a shame because like some of the best actors are just like I hate you as a person, but like
Yeah,
goddamn,
Pedro
like you're a good
Pascal, man.
actor.
He's like the best example of that because he's obnoxious, but like he's a great actor. Um, Actually, I should talk about. I will switch over to Begonia because I think you should watch this. We're going to talk
Yeah,
about it in our movie. our movie podcast, but Yorgo Lanthimos is like the same way. He's this guy with like his politics are awful, and I cannot fucking stand the guy. And man, can he make a fucking movie? And it's a movie. I don't even know if I haven't seen One Battle After Another, which I heard was like kind of like this too, where it's like we're gonna make the Weather Underground seem cool, and it's like I don't know about that. And Begonia isn't similar. It's like we're gonna Luigi Mangione this thing up, like we're gonna kill a healthcare executive or whatever. And I mean, it's not really what that movie's about at all. But
like kind of.
He, I mean, it's impossible not to see his politics in it. But then as a movie, it's like an incredible piece of work, and it's got this thing that I love in movies. It's one of my favorite things, where like you're in a scenario, or like there's a space, and like you've been watching that space for an hour of the movie, and then all of a sudden there's something in that room that that it never revealed to you, but it's there, and then it's like revealed to you, and you're like, ooh, like this is a fun puzzle.
It's like Eddington.
Like it's kind of like
completely
Eddington.
Changes direction on you.
It does completely change directions on you, and it's fun, and it's got moments in it that are actually fucking hilarious. Like it's a violent movie, but it's like a fun movie.
See, I'm waiting for a bunch of shit to come out on like whatever streaming service it's going to come out on, because I'm just not willing to pay for it. Like One Battle After Another, I think it is scheduled to be on HBO like December 23rd or something like that. So I'm just waiting for certain things to come, and then I'm just going to have to go through and watch a shit ton of movies by the end of the year to make sure that like if they should be on the list or not. Because actually AMC Plus or whatever, yeah, just like released like the statistics of movies that I went to see this year, and I only went to see 11. That's very low for me, but I must say this year has really not been great in terms of films.
It has been for specific movies,
right?
Like you're right. I think we had last year. We had a list that we had to I had cut stuff. And this year, I don't know that I'm cutting anything.
Yeah, I'm actually struggling to put the list together in terms of like things that I've seen. But there's a lot of movies that I wanted to see that I'm just like waiting for, because I'm like, they came out, I wanted to see it. One Battle After Another is one of them. It's like, okay, I love Leonardo DiCaprio. I think he's great. The movie itself, I'm like, oh, it looks like it's got some action to it. Like, it could be solid.
I heard it's got a great car chase in it.
And then it just tanked. Like, it didn't get great reviews and stuff.
It's one of the biggest flops
F1
of the year.
is finally on Apple TV, so I'll probably watch that one.
We'll be talking about that one.
Good. I know I'm not like a car guy, really, but F1 does look fantastic.
I mean, that's the best part about movies like F1 is you don't have to know anything about the sport. The movie's going to take you on a journey, and they're going to show you what the sport is. And it does it so well. It's like you're going to watch it and you're going to go, "Oh my god, F1 is IT. F1 is like all technology. It's not even the racing is secondary to all the other stuff going on." And so there's like a lot of that in it. And it's just a great movie.
That's one
anyway.
I'm excited for, and I was waiting for that to show up on Apple TV as well, just because I knew it was. I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay for it. Like, I know it's going to show up on Apple TV, so like, what's the point? But that's one I have to sit down and watch.
Yeah, and you should, because we'll probably end up talking about it.
Oh, I know it's going to be on your list. It's got to be. Spoiler alert.
I don't know how high it would be on my list, or if it... But like I said, I'm not cutting anything, so F1's probably going to be on there because there's not much.
And that's like, I have to go through because like there hasn't been some like banger blockbuster like films really that many this year. They haven't hit the mark or whatever. Like some of the bigger movies that came out this year just were like, just not a great year for movies. Hoping 2026 is better.
I'm sure there is. I mean, 2026 has like all your Marvel stuff too, but also we've got the Odyssey and things like that. But this year, I think
just put that in the top 15 for 2027. Guaranteed.
I don't care what I might pay money to go see Avatar: Fire and Ash just to watch that trailer and then just walk out. I mean, that's how excited I am for
I get
anything.
my free tickets. I literally might just purchase a ticket, go see the trailer, and leave. I've never seen an Avatar movie. I'm not gonna start now, so I'll just go watch the trailer and get the fuck out.
They are the most overrated dog shit movies, and I can't believe that they're like the top two most. They made the most money of any movie ever. I'm like, this stuff sucks ass, dude. Like those movies are not good.
Which is funny considering Matt Damon is in the Odyssey, and he turned down Avatar, and he turned down like 10% revenue share from Avatar that would have paid him billions of dollars.
It's
He
crazy.
actually mentioned it in like an interview that he was like, yeah, that's like the biggest regret of my life was turning down Avatar.
But
Because he was
that's him
shooting like
saying.
Bourne. He was shooting like Bourne Supremacy or something like that. And he goes, so I had to turn down Avatar because we were finishing up the Bourne movie. And he goes, that would have made me like an instant billionaire.
I mean, I get the money part of it, but like, I wouldn't say that out loud because like, that's kind of scummy. It's like, oh, I wish I would have made more money, and it's like, yeah, but your legacy is the Bourne movies, so like, let's
Oh
not.
yeah, which infinitely are better than Avatar movies,
Yeah, of
and it's
course.
just like, you know, I just it's still a lot of fucking money to be like I walked away from easily $1 billion to do Bourne, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, Bourne Supremacy, whichever one it was not like as good as the first Bourne movie, right? But I liked them all except for the one with Jeremy Renner in it, I must say. And it was
I like them
not
too.
because of him, but the movie itself just wasn't great. But it'll be interesting to see what comes out in 2026, and I do hope it's better. Um, I'm only interested in Marvel bullshit in 2026 because I want to see Robert Downey Jr. play Doctor Doom. You and I have talked about Doctor Doom being one of the most interesting characters, like villains in all of like comic books, and that it's never been done right. Um, and I'm interested to see him do it. So, I am I gonna go see that movie in theaters? Not likely. Even though I go see them for free, like not likely, but um, maybe. And it's all
I'll
because of
see.
Robert Downey Jr. I love Robert Downey Jr. He's phenomenal. Um, so maybe we'll see.
I'm a no. I'm not gonna fall for it. I will watch it eventually, but
It's only
um,
because of him. And I will say, I actually did like this Fantastic Four that came out this year. It's the best Fantastic Four movie that they've ever made. Not that there's a high bar, but it's the best Fantastic Four movie that they've ever made. So maybe.
I did not like that movie, but I will give some credit. It is the best Fantastic Four movie. I love the style of it, and I thought Galactus was actually fucking awesome
For once.
for once.
He wasn't a giant cloud like he was
Yeah,
in the original Fantastic Four.
like that's how it should. I mean, everything about that movie is like, I'm weirded out about like the whole like giving birth and
Space.
space. I was that's when I kind of was like, ugh, like I'm kind of checked out here. But you know, there's fun things with the thing and like the beard and stuff. Like there's shit in it that I thought was like, aha, like that's clever. Um, but yeah, and that movie did pretty well. I would say. I think the box office this year is not great. Like F1 was like a wild success. Like they really got lucky with that one. But like really, Wicked is the only thing kind of keeping everything afloat right
Which
now.
is
Like
really funny because it's not really getting like good reviews. So there's a problem with Wicked where people who aren't initiated like to the musical, and I've taken my wife to see the musical, so like I understand it. The second half is very dark, um, and not at all what like the first movie was, where it was like, oh, singing, everybody's kind of happy, and then like like shit happens. The second part of it is a very dark, and I've talked to my wife actually about this at length, because she loves that musical, like it's her favorite musical, so she knows that the second half of the story gets like pretty dark. And so like if you're not one of the initiated to the musical and you go see the movie, you're like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting or wanted. And so there are people kind of like shitting on it because it's not what they expected. They expected more of the same from the first part, and that's not what they're getting. So
it's funny because I saw a review that was like, the second one didn't go hard enough. It wasn't political enough. I mean, I'm only familiar with The Wizard of Oz, but the author of that was like a rabid communist scumbag. He was an absolute lunatic. So like the story is already tinged with all that, and I'm sure Wicked, I haven't seen it and I won't, is probably tinged with a lot of that.
well, so it's really weird because Wicked takes place before and during Wizard of Oz. So it's like the first half is basically like the prequel to the Wizard of Oz, and then the second half is like kind of during Wizard of Oz, and you just see like different things, like they allude to like the Tin Man, like you see how the Tin Man becomes the Tin Man, and you see how like the Scarecrow becomes the Scarecrow and everything else, and then they very very vaguely show you what's her face, who was the main character in Wizard of Oz, what was her name?
Dorothy?
Yeah. So they vaguely show you Dorothy in Wicked, but they don't ever like show her face. It's always like silhouettes of her because the movie's not about her. It's about the witch, and they just kind of like, I don't know, like vaguely show you who she is and stuff like that. Just as like a story plot point to get to the end of Wicked.
Well, I do want to say thank you because I've been taking coffee breaks to get more coffee. It's still early here. And I chose to let you talk about Wicked while I wasn't in the room.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. I have two other things I want to talk about, if you don't mind.
By all means.
I have a show and tell. Somebody had a birthday recently, and this was not tied to the birthday, but one of them is. My good friend Brad got me a Pikachu Pez dispenser, which I love so much.
I know. I figured you would.
It's the perfect thing for here. And the next thing is my other good buddy got me this controller for Christmas.
Oh, cool.
It's like right up my alley.
Yeah.
Love that. And for my birthday, I got this. Now, this is really neat. It's a Godzilla ramen cup. And then inside, it came with a little figurine made of vinyl.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a little guy. And the best part, or one of the coolest things, they have a packet for your little seasoning. And inside the packet is a little Godzilla badge.
Yeah.
It's a iron-on like patch.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, which I
That's
thought was
funny.
really cool. Yeah. So that's my show and tell. And then my other thing I want to talk to you about is tell us about Arc Raiders a little bit.
Oh, yes. So I have been putting in some hours into a video game, which, as you know, I don't frequently do. Arc Raiders is very interesting because it's either very uplifting or very toxic. So what happens is basically everybody lives underground, and there's these machines that kill humans up on the surface, and there's different kinds of machines. There's ones that just like shoot machine guns at you. There's ones that shoot missiles at you. There's small flying ones. There's ones that roll on the ground that like one just turns into a flamethrower and shoots you. One just like runs at you and explodes. There's like turrets, one that shoots a sniper rifle at you. Other ones that are just like shoot, again, machine guns as turrets. Then there's like these giant spiders that they're called leapers, and if it sees you, it will, I mean, leap like crazy to get onto these things. And so you have, and they're all called arc. So you fight these like arc robots, and it's like a very kind of grindy game. Like you go in, you kill robots, or like you loot stuff, and you find different things, and then you um, basically build out like your workshop and workbench so that you can craft better weapons and armor and like all this other stuff, and to go in and like fight the arc. Well, you need to go in and fight the arc and collect pieces from them to help build out like better benches, better weapons, all this other shit too. But you can also, so it's PvE in that sense, but it's also PvP in that there's other raiders that are like in the map. Each map, I believe, starts at 30 minutes. But you might load in and there's only 15 minutes left in the map, because that's like the, whatever. That's like the matchmaking, I guess. And you're like looting shit, but you have people that are just like ratting themselves in like an extraction spot. And over time throughout the map, the extraction spots close so that there's less and less of them. And some people are just like rats and sit in there, and then when you show up, they'll kill you and take all your shit. But it's also like open world speaking, basically. So if you're within like 70 meters of somebody, you can talk to them through your mic, and so, or you can like emote and say don't shoot, or like hey raider, and like all this other stuff. And so I'm finding that in like solo play, which I play a lot, people are nice, and you're like, oh, and they're like, hey, what are you looking for? And I'm like, oh, I'm looking for like, I literally was playing and I was like, oh, I'm looking for this room to do this mission. Like, do you know where that is? And he goes, no. He goes, I did that mission like a long time ago. I don't have as much time to devote to video games as some other people, right? And he goes, oh, what level are you? I'm like, oh, 24. He goes, oh, here's this like really cool thing. And he just like drops it for me. He goes, I can make them now, so don't worry about it. And it's like this really high level like thing that you have to get by building out your workbenches and shit. And I'm just like, oh, cool, thanks. And he's like, oh, that room I think is like up there that you're looking for your mission. And I'm like, oh, cool. Have a good raid, buddy. He's like, yeah, you too. But then I tried playing with a friend of mine, and every time we loaded in, somebody was just like waiting for us, like in our spawn to kill us. Like it was just, it's like ridiculous, and people are like super toxic about it and shit. Which I want to get more into like the multiplayer portion of it, like, and being able to play as like a squad. But I just don't know anybody that's playing it really. So, and I don't fill with like random people in like any game that I fucking play really. So I just been playing solo, but I've been upgrading like my workbenches and getting to a point where like I'm on a roll where it's like I'm consistently extracting with the things that I need. I'm figuring out like where things generally are located so that you can go and get the things you need to upgrade and stuff like that. And it's just I find the game to be very, very interesting, and there's like 7 maps to play. They have like a prestiging system where they call it an expedition, and you have to like supply your expedition, and then at a certain time, if you fill your expedition, it'll like roll over. And there's bonuses that you get for prestiging essentially, but then you go back to square one and have to start all over. And so people are trying to find ways around that, where they're like, oh, my friend's not gonna do an expedition, so I'm gonna go and find all these blueprints and give them to them so that when I come back I can get them automatically, so I don't have to grind for them again. And it's like, they're doing like bitch shit. But it's cool, like in solos, they have these huge arcs. Like one is just called like a bombardier, where there's 2 smaller searching arcs that basically they pinpoint you, and this thing fires fucking missiles out of like the top of it at you, and it's very hard. Like, so you have to take out the smaller arc and then start like lobbing grenades at this thing, and then but they're in solo. At least if you're fighting like one of these big ones, people come out of like everywhere and just start helping you fucking destroy this thing. But you can destroy them on your own as well, if people don't do that. But then if you help destroy it, like, people will loot it and they're like, oh, cool. But you could sit there, and if people are like looting it, just fuck them up if you wanted to. So it's like really how you want to play it. And so in solos, like I said, people are nice. So I'm just like, oh, I'm just trying to find like these things or whatever. So I'm just going to go do that. And people are like real nice about it. But I want to get into more of like the PvP thing. It's just on solos. It's not really like that. Like, I did kill a guy and he's like, you're a fucking piece of shit. And like, because you can hear people talking to like, oh, you're such a fucking piece of shit. Or like, I watched this one guy's videos. He does this thing called Arc Raiders Trivia. So you can bring in like a defibrillator, and where if you down somebody, you can revive them. Because what happens is like you go down and then you crawl and can like bleed out, and somebody can come up and like knock you out and take all your shit, or they can revive you with a defib. And so what he does is he goes in with like a bunch of healing items, he downs somebody, and then he goes, welcome to Arc Raiders Trivia, and he asks them like questions on about the game. And he goes, there's a thing called a safe pocket, which everybody jokes around that it's like an item in your butt. And so he's like, oh, if you answer all 3 questions, I'll revive you and give you the item from my butt. So he usually carries like a really high level item that is hard to find, and he'll go in and like heal, like, so he'll ask you the questions and then he'll heal you and give you the item if you answer the questions correctly and stuff like that. So people are kind of like gamifying it even further, which is really interesting to see. But some people are just assholes in the game, and you know, it's what kind of makes it fun.
I heard that they do matchmaking based on your aggressiveness. So like if you're really toxic, you get stuck with toxic people, and if you're nice, you get play with nice people, which I think is cool.
That's
I don't know if that's
probably
true.
I actually found a website that I just found this, where it's basically like a hitman website for arc raiders, where they list like the top 15 people who are fucking assholes the most. And if you can go in and say, oh, I want to hunt this person, and if you get into a lobby with them and you kill them and you like upload a screenshot, they'll give you something for like killing this person. So they've basically just created like a most wanted list of people to like kill. And I've seen videos of a lot of these guys, you know, they're big streamer guys and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting game. There's some interesting mechanics to it. I actually do think you would like it, but you can easily put in a bunch of hours. And I've seen people being like, oh, I have 300 hours into Arc Raiders and now it's just boring. And it's like, yeah, but you played it for 300 hours. Like, I think you've got your money's worth. Like, that's a lot of time to spend.
I would say so.
And like, the story of it is interesting. So a lot of the missions are you like finding out more about like the world and what happened, and how the arcs like came to be, because at some point like a lot of the early arcs like fell, and then within like a year they returned and they were stronger and better than ever. And so actually getting to see the story of like how all of this occurred is really interesting. So I highly recommend this game to like anybody. And I want more people to play it with so that I can be toxic and start killing people too.
I plan on. I've been hesitant to pull the trigger. I don't know why. I should.
The thing is, it's a grind, right? So I was playing this with Harper.
Yes.
I was playing it with him, and we were just getting our asses kicked. But it was so early on for us, where like we don't have the skill points set that like everybody else has. And so, you know, they're faster and better, and like they have better weapons and like all this other stuff. And we're going in with free loadouts where, you know, you don't get a great gun and like all this other shit. And he goes, oh, this game sucks. And I'm like, no, you just like, it's a grind. Like you have to grind in that to get better and get your skill points up and do missions. He's like, yeah, but I can't do that. Like if, you know, I'm getting my ass handed to me every time. I'm like, well, we have to go in with a plan, and like, you literally can't just loot everything, because like you have to worry about the weight, and you only have so many slots that you can fill like in your backpack and shit. But the thing is, if you get knocked out, you come back with nothing. You lose all your guns, your shields, like everything, unless you have a safe pocket thing, and then you get to keep your safe pocket item. Um, so that's why everyone jokes that, like, they stick it up their butt. So you see like a lot of like memes and shit about it. But it's definitely the most interesting game I've played in a while.
Well, I should plug two games that I've been playing. One of them is Dave the Diver, which was on PlayStation, and I knew it was a good game, but it was on PlayStation, so it was kind of off my radar. And then they put it on Xbox, and I find this game to be, the loop of it is so addicting for my kind of brain. You have a sushi restaurant on this like island, and what you do is during the day you go down into the ocean and you hunt fish, and then in the evening you go to your sushi restaurant and you serve what you've caught. And that's it at
That's right
first.
up your alley.
Yeah, that's what it is at first. That's it. And then as the game progresses, you unlock more and more crazy shit, and the game opens up, and there's hidden boss fights, and there's these like people that live under the ocean you find, and then
Can you kill
like
them and turn them into sushi?
no,
Oh, brutal.
they're good, they're nice people. But like what's crazy about it is that I was about 30 hours into this game, and I had beaten it. I'd beaten the main story, and then I unlocked a second sushi branch that's like somewhere else. And so you're managing the staff, and then you've got this other branch that you're managing too, and you could send your sushi there. And then you have like a fish farm, and every time you kill a fish, if you get like multiples of them, they'll breed in the farm. And then there's an actual farm you have where you grow crops that you can make sushi in. And then there's these challenges where you have to make sushi for certain characters that come through. And this is all shit that's like unlocking like well after I'm done. And I'm like, what the fuck? This game goes on forever. You're just constantly finding new things.
Playability.
You upgrade your guns. You have a smartphone. On the smartphone, there's an app that's like, you're doing like exploration missions, like collect 5 sea urchins. But then there's also a games app, and there's like 4 little like mini games in there on your cell phone. One of them is like a Tamagotchi that I just unlocked. It's like, they didn't give it to me early. They gave it to me well into the game.
Right.
And it's like, you could raise these little fish and whatever. And then there's just like all these like little, so the cycle's like morning, afternoon, and then the evening. And you're just doing that over and over. And you're making money so you can upgrade the people and your staff. You upgrade and train them. And it just goes on and on and on. And I find that so, it just
I give them
clicks
credit
with
for
me.
adding playability to it. Like,
And
if that's something you're interested in.
They put in this DLC, and it's free. And one of the DLCs is based on a game. We don't talk about it. It's not as interesting. But one of the DLCs is Godzilla. So Godzilla comes to the island because Ibara, which is a kaiju, is there terrorizing everybody. And so there's literally there's actually a boss fight where you control Godzilla and you fight Ibara. And it's like, it's just in there. Then after that's done, they put all these little mini like figurines of Godzilla characters in the ocean, and you have to go and collect them all. And then you go to your phone and you press a button, and you could hear the sound effect for the monster, like the roar. And it's like, it's just there. It's just in there for some reason. And I'm just like, this is like amazing to me. It's like right up my alley. And then the other game you'll give me absolute shit for, it popped up on Game Pass. The game is called literally A Game About Digging a Hole. And you just get this like house with some property. I know. And so you just start digging a hole, and then like you're unlocking like more materials, and you're upgrading your shovel, and I don't know where it's going. But it's those games are just so addicting. I can't help it. I have to like play them. No, they're not. Yes, they are.
No.
You don't get it, like, man.
Oh, I play, truck driver simulator. Like, you play some of the dumbest shit where it's like, oh, I'm just driving a truck down a road.
Nothing's more satisfying than playing Power Wash Simulator 2. Like, It just is. I can't explain it. You just got to watch everything. Perfect
I don't know.
podcast game.
I do not find that entertaining like at all. I tried Power Wash Simulator. I downloaded it so maybe my wife could like just play Xbox or something. And I'm like, I don't know how you play this for more than 3 minutes. You're like,
No,
oh,
you
yep,
play it more
car's
than
clean.
you. No, you play it until you clean everything, and I will clean everything. And I love upgrading the nozzles, and it's a perfect podcast game. You just put something on in the background, and you're just cleaning. And there's like, oh, I'm going to clean the roller rink, or I'm going to clean this tractor, and I am
I
aligned with
can't do
this.
it. Doesn't hold my attention, dude.
And then they have like DLC where it's like, you're going to go clean Tomb Raider's mansion now. I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm going to clean that good. And it's
Well,
so
I'm glad it excites you.
It does, yeah. No, so these are the games I've been playing. Besides just the normal like Battlefield, we actually got a bunch of guys together to play Monopoly, which turned out to be way more cutthroat than I would have ever imagined, and it was
Really?
fucking hilarious. Oh, you know what? There's just something about those classic board games that they just hit the spot, and I'm just like, yeah, this is good.
You'll have to let me
Negotiating
know if you do
properties
that
and
again.
shit.
I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, go get the problem is the Hasbro pack had like 4 games in it, and so we all just agreed to get the one that had the right games in it. So yeah, it's got like Scrabble, which I've actually been enjoying seeing the intellect of my friends, because it's surprising the people that you think wouldn't be good at things like that, there actually are. And then you're playing Trivial Pursuit, which obviously I'm going to stomp everybody, but it's like, oh, people are pretty good at they know some things, so
I played Seen It. I think, like all the movies scene things
I've got it right over here on the shelf.
with like my wife and her parents. And it just wasn't fair because like I've seen so many movies and they just haven't. And so it was like, you guys don't want to play this game. Trust me. Like, you
Well,
haven't seen anything compared to what I've seen.
yeah, I remember sitting with my family. So like, that's how old this game is. That was probably like 22 years ago. But like, yeah, you'd put the DVD in, and then you'd play the game with the DVD, and yeah, I remember I was like 17 and I was like stomping everybody. I'm like, you people haven't seen a fucking thing. I continue to be disappointed in people not seeing a fucking thing.
I get that. That's what would be interesting, actually, for you and I to play against each other and something like that, just to see like.
They should do another Scene It. Those were great.
Yeah, they have to. At this point, I mean, it's probably been 20 years since the last one, so think of how many movies have come out since then.
Yeah. Bradley, we recorded an extra long episode.
We did.
So I think, and no politics. Oh yes, no politics. Shall we call it?
Sure, I don't see why not. Had a good run here today.
All right. My apologies for not recording podcasts, but we did it. So next time we'll do it again.
Get Arc Raiders, pussy.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna get it.
All right. I'll catch you later, bud.